and liftoff of Artemis 1.
Right now on the National Weather Desk, return to the moon. Artemis 1 launches overnight, and we have a front seat to history. Also, the return of cold and snow, a warning about the biggest winter weather driving dangers.
Fog, it's frost, and it's flurries.
Christmas tree farmers struggle to balance rising costs with holiday cheer.
We kind of blew the budget probably back in September.
And on this winter-like day, for many, we'll take you to the skies for a beautiful tour of southeastern beaches.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Well, many places across the country recently dealt with a cold snap, and things are going to get colder in the coming weeks. One thing we often hear about is wind chill. We had a viewer ask us, what exactly is wind chill? So let's head over to meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Actually, we're going to get to that story in a moment. You can take a look here and see that the Artemis rocket went off early this morning at 1 a.m. Eventually we're going to be able to put man back on the moon, but this was just a test early this morning here. Let's go right now to Josh Knight.
1. Boosters in ignition. And liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together. Back to the moon and beyond.
Excitement was contagious at the Kennedy Space Center Tuesday night as America's next moonshot took flight, setting the tone to soon put Americans back on the surface of the moon later this decade. Seconds after liftoff, the deafening sound of the 8.8 million pounds of thrust reached the crowd. Orion, the spacecraft, was now headed to the moon.
So you guys know I have talked a lot about appreciating the moment that you're in, and we have worked hard as a team. You guys have worked hard as a team for this moment. This is your moment.
The countdown was not easy. Another hydrogen leak required a team to go to the pad inside the blast danger zone to tighten bolts on a valve. The Range, who is in charge of tracking the rocket and preventing it from threatening people if it goes off course, had to replace an Ethernet switch. But at 1:47 a.m. Eastern Time, a little behind schedule, Artemis was headed to the moon in a flawless nighttime launch.
The harder the climb, the better the view. We showed the Space Coast tonight. What a beautiful view it is.
Right, there we go. Back on track. Now to the cold weather across much of the nation today. You better get used to it because it's going to be sticking around at least for a little bit. Now we go to South Carolina meteorologist Josh Knight, who has more.
And our unseasonably cool weather continues across a lot of the country, and this cold air mass really coming all the way down from the North Pole. Throughout the rest of the week, you see this pink, this purple color air just taking over for pretty much the entire United States, thanks to this big dip in the jet stream. It doesn't last all weekend long. We start to see that jet stream flatten out a little bit and ultimately let some warmer air start to push back into the area, especially for early next week, farther off into the western United States. Take a look at this. This is showing us how much cooler we are than normal. These purples, these blues show just how much colder a lot of the country is. By Friday, almost the entire country. Saturday, pretty much the same sort of picture, just starting to get a little bit more warmth farther off to the west. And by Sunday, really watching that cold air center in over on the eastern United States. We do have some warmer weather, some warm-ups on the way. We look to the extended outlook here, November 23rd, almost to Thanksgiving, and working our way through Thanksgiving weekend. Warmer than normal weather more likely into the central and western United States, still hanging a little bit closer to normal or even cooler than normal in New England.
Haven't seen heavy snow, certainly know what's on the horizon. We're still in Columbus, where Caroline Cohen has more on what Ohio's Department of Transportation is doing to make sure those roadways are safe when the winter weather arrives.
The salt barns have been stocked, the plows have been maintained and are ready to go, and ODOT is prepared for another winter weather season. If you are on a route that starts with an I, an SR, or a US, it is probably an ODOT route. So ODOT maintains those highways and interstates and those state and US routes outside of municipalities. ODOT reminding people exactly where you'll see them this winter, adding that as we head into colder days and nights, it's not just the snow they're maintaining.
Fog, it's frost, and it's flurries.
When it comes to dense fog, it's important to leave your low beam lights on.
There should not be a scenario where you turn your brights on in the event of a foggy morning. It actually inhibits your ability to see and will make you less safe as a driver.
Brooke Ebersole, Public Information Officer for ODOT Columbus, says even when we don't see snow, the frost can cause major issues for drivers.
This time of year, we really combat frost,
especially on bridges and overpasses.
Our crews are out there trying to get ahead of that for your commute, laying down that rock salt brine ahead of your drive to make sure that that bridge isn't frosty and slick.
Chunks of the country have been dealing with wintry weather, from flurries that came and went to those who are in the thick of multiple days of snow. Let's go to Columbus, Ohio, where meteorologist Marshall McPeak explains the different types of precipitation that folks are dealing with now and what they will face in the coming months.
It all starts as snow. Whatever it ends up being, it starts as some snow. When it's cold air all the way down to the ground, that, of course, ends up falling as snow. When there's some warmer air between the upper atmosphere and the ground, it melts. So that's why we have rain. Those are pretty easy. But it gets much more complicated when we get into some of these wintry precipitation types. So sleet, again, starts as snow, but there's a layer of warm air in the middle. So some of that begins to melt. So once it melts and then falls into another colder layer, it refreezes. So that's why sleet falls as little pellets. So it becomes some raindrops and then it refreezes as the little pellets. Then there's also the freezing rain. So like everything else, it starts as snow, then it falls through a warm layer, so it melts and turns into rain. But the cold layer at the bottom is very shallow. So what happens is, rather than having the time to actually turn into pellets and freeze on the way down, it freezes on contact. And that is when you get that glaze of ice that is really hard to chip through on your car and that sticks to the trees. So this winter, as we get all kinds of different types of precipitation, keep in mind how the atmosphere changes at different levels to make that precipitation happen. We'll keep an eye on it on radar all winter.
Time now for a segment that we call Social Meteorology. This is where we turn to our team of 200 meteorologists across the various places of the country for those weather lessons. Today's class starts out in Kansas, where elevation played a big role in this week's snowfall.
The storm system dropped snow on the mountaintops of North Arkansas, but there was a line below which it was all rain, and that was about 1,500 feet, as you can see in that photo. So let's start at 1,800 feet. Atop the mountains, 2 to 3 inches of snow. You go down to 1,600 feet, and you get some snow, and at 1,400 feet, barely any snow. Below that level, it was all a cold rain.
Why does the wind make it feel colder outside? So with little to no wind, we actually have a layer of heat surrounding our body. But when it's windy, that moving air breaks up that warm layer and makes us feel even colder. That's why it's important to dress in layers when it's cold outside.
Here are 5 items that a meteorologist always has in her car during the winter months. Number 1, jumper cables for a dead battery, then a snow shovel. Also have an ice scraper. Make sure that you're bundled up, but you also want to make sure that you have some extra layers in the car, like a blanket or an extra jacket, so you can stay cool just in case your car breaks down. Yeah, no, seriously. Number 4, keep an extra blanket or some extra layers like gloves and a hat in the back of your car. And number 5, salt, sand, or kitty litter for traction in case you get stuck.
Meanwhile, from western Illinois, this time lapse of the first snowfall in Quincy, Illinois. Take a look. Meteorologist Rich Kane says this video starts at 2 a.m. Tuesday morning, and Rich took 8 hours of the falling snow and he scrunched it down into 30 seconds. He says that snow was melted by mid-afternoon. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, have you ever heard of an asperitas cloud? We'll tell you what it is and introduce you to the man who named it. And the holidays are approaching while you might want to get your Christmas tree a little earlier this year. Hey, let's test your weather wit before the break. What is a wind called when those winds are 39 to 54 miles per hour? We'll have the answer after this short break.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. Look at the Northeast. We have a variety of precipitation types out there this morning: snow, sleet, and rainfall. There'll be some wintry mix that continues primarily through northern New England today. Over southern New England and back into New York, it's mostly rainfall, and it should be coming to an end this afternoon and heading into the evening hours. Now, as we head into Thursday, look for brighter skies. Skies go at least partly sunny, and temperatures, they're going to get a boost back into the 40s, but it will stay windy with some lake effect snow in New York.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Starting off chilly, some 30s and 40s, but quickly into the afternoon, a better looking day than Tuesday for our Wednesday. Any rain's gone, and it looks like sunshine does work. Temperatures generally into the low and mid 50s, although a good gusty breeze in the wake of our latest weather maker that's pushing its way with rain and snow off toward New England and out into the Atlantic. But sunshine will return. That's some great news for our Wednesday. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your temperatures for the day. Looks like we're going to see temperatures about 46 in Nashville, definitely jacket weather. 49 Birmingham, 48 in Atlanta, 57 in Raleigh. Still holding those 70s from Jacksonville down into West Palm, 86 degrees. Still nice and toasty there. Pretty good front that's pushing through parts of the southeast, bringing some rain showers and thunderstorms. And the colder side of this, up towards Cleveland, north of D.C., looks like they're going to continue to see some snow showers. But then we start to clear out through the overnight, a few remaining clouds down in the southeast.
So earlier I asked, what is a wind called when those speeds are 39 to 54 miles per hour? Did you get it? It's called a gale. All right, now let's check to see the weathered cities across the country today. We're going to start out in Schenectady, New York, where they're under a winter weather advisory. A mixture of snow and rain expected this morning. The afternoon temperature will get into the mid-40s, but will drop right back down to freezing later today. And let's check here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. here. Partly cloudy skies today with a high temperature around 50 degrees, but a blustery wind coming our way later and freezing temperatures tonight. And Petoskey, Michigan here, where they have snow showers. Yeah, more snow in the forecast, just above the freezing mark with more snow accumulation expected just below 1 inch. Tonight, those temperatures will drop down into the mid-20s. And another cold one for you. This is Coralville, Iowa, where snow will taper off this morning, but skies expected to remain overcast. Temperatures won't get much above freezing in Coralville. And if you've never heard of a cloud type, asperitas, you're not alone. It only became an official cloud type just a few years ago. Our Emily Gracie spoke to Gavin Prederpini about the Cloud Appreciation Society to find out how he turned a few photos into a new cloud classification. The first question she asked, how the heck do you say it?
Well, we call it the Asperitas cloud. But I mean, who's to say what the right pronunciation of Latin is? I mean, unless you know any ancient Romans to tell you, we're all guessing how to pronounce it.
Can you tell me about the history here of this cloud type and how it came to be?
Well, we first noticed this cloud being sent in from Iowa in the US. Cedar Rapids actually was the location. And it was a sky of strange waves, like turbulent undulations in the sky. And at the time, I remember thinking, that's like a wavy cloud. There are names, there are terms, classifications for wavy clouds. But this seemed more turbulent, more chaotic. And then every 6 months or a year, another one would come in from a member somewhere around the world. They came in from Australia, from Greenland, from across Europe. And then eventually I proposed maybe we need a new type of cloud, a new classification of cloud.
Who did you go to get this done?
Well, that's the question. How do you go about getting a new cloud classified? I wasn't quite sure. So I went to, here in the UK, I went to the Royal Meteorological Society and I asked them, I said, I've got a new type of cloud. And they said, yeah, right, you do. Let's have a look at your cloud. And I brought in some photographs sent in by members from around the world. The Royal Meteorological Society said, yeah, you should maybe take this forward. There's got a good case for it. You need to speak to the World Meteorological Organization if you want this to become official. So that's who I went to next.
Can you tell me what you guys do, a little bit about the organization?
At the Cloud Appreciation Society, we just like a tap on the shoulder to remind people the sky is there above you. It seems crazy that you'd need it, but the sky is there above you, and you should take a moment during your day-to-day to have your head in the clouds because it's good for your mind, it's good for your creativity, good for your health, good for your soul.
A longer version of Emily's interview with Gavin, including where he got the name Asparagus, whatever you want to call it, can be found on our YouTube channel under the National Weather Desk. Well, it's been a very interesting year of weather in Seattle, Washington. You may recall the Emerald City had a very warm and dry summer and early fall. It finally rained last month, but that didn't last for very long. Today is the 9th day in a row in Seattle that they're going to go without any measurable precipitation at the airport. The all-time record in November is 13 days. With no rain in sight, that record, which was set back in 2000, will likely be broken. Well, the oldest map in the world is believed to be a cave painting in Turkey. From the simple maps back then to the GPS-driven maps of today, maps have always had a role in human history. Let's go now to Mobile, Alabama, where meteorologist Alan Seals explains how maps have developed through the years.
It's Geography Awareness Week. Do you know where you are right now on Earth? If you don't know, many people would just pull out an app and check a map. But before apps, people used paper maps like this one from the 1700s, available from the Library of Congress. It shows what we knew at that point in history, but maps also show what we know. And the whole concept of geographic information systems, that's what makes our lives a lot easier. We sort of take it for granted. But there are so many different maps when you just look at the Earth, for example. All of these from NASA show different projections. Some of them, you look at the lines of latitude and longitude, and they're not evenly spaced, or they may converge. But each map has a purpose for a cartographer or for a scientist. I'm meteorologist Alan Seals.
The holidays are almost here. Even though some inflation pressure seemed to be cooling, it's still the gift that keeps on giving in reverse, hitting our wallets really hard. Consumers are being told expect to pay more for Christmas trees this season. Let's go to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where Samantha York has more.
It's kind of like a family tradition.
The Strathmeyers have deep roots in the Christmas tree industry. A family tree spanning 5 generations.
Keeping that alive and moving has always meant something to me.
Opening day is Saturday, but the trees you see have been growing for at least 8 years.
We've been putting money into these trees for all this time, expending them, and each year that money keeps going up and keeps going up, and we're not getting anything for that.
Preparations for this season began months ago.
When you're spraying your herbicides, and then you get into pesticides, and then you got to get out after the trees grow and trim the trees.
Everything that you put into the tree, the costs are going up.
The cost of growing these trees grew too, nearly 20% higher than last year, according to a study from the Real Christmas Tree Board.
Chemicals, I think, almost doubled from last year. Same thing with fertilizers.
The Strathmeyers have a large footprint, selling trees locally and supplying them to other states like New Jersey and Maryland. With that comes fuel costs and labor costs as tree farmers focus on budgeting.
We kind of blew the budget probably back in September, so we're now having to adjust and maybe cut costs somewhere else.
With the economy keeping costs high, tree prices are expected to be up across the industry, though businesses are trying to keep family memories affordable.
That's going to be the fun balance this year, is making sure you're not outpricing your market, that people are still going to come out and buy.
The local trees, we try to keep the price down, and that way people keep coming back year after year.
A family business rooted in tradition, looking to plant the seed for other families.
It's always about family.
Just to be a small part of that means a lot.
And now to one of our fan favorites, drone video, where we take to the skies over beautiful areas of our country. Today we're going to head to the beach in South Carolina.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. Notice this light blue. We've got some light snow showers and flurries across a lot of the Midwest as we go through the day today. And chilly temperatures. Most of us are in the 30s or 20s for highs for today. Moving forward to tomorrow, we got some 40s to the south, but still some pockets of light snow across a lot of the north and the Great Lakes. The lake effect snow will just continue as we head into the end of the week, staying chilly. As a matter of fact, even a little colder heading into the weekend.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Things are a little chilly all the way from El Paso back over into Little Rock into the 30s. We're looking 40s and 50s down toward the south. Brownsville at 55. High pressure will be the thing we'll be watching today. It slides east, pumps more moisture in. That means more rain for deep South Texas. Otherwise, temperatures are going to be pretty much the same. We'll see a nice little warm up throughout the day into the 50s for the most part, 40s to the north. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Hi, everybody, and a good Wednesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, dry as a bone. Even in the reliably rainy Pacific Northwest, we can't seem to get any November storms chugging on through. Seattle and Portland back into the low 50s today. A perfect 73 at the San Diego Zoo. Cold in Missoula and Jackson Hole with a few snow showers there, but overall this big monster ridge of high pressure keeping things dry for the next few days. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Got the blues because of early sunsets? Rhode Island meteorologist R.J. Heim says it's not as early for everyone, just depends where you live.
So our 4:30 mid-November sunset is a 6:30 sunrise on the other hand. However, the western edge of the Eastern time zone, Indianapolis, Indiana, their sunset this time of the year is 5:30, but their sunrise is at 7:30.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
We get a lot of great content from our meteorologists, and we get a bounty from our viewers. In fact, here's a sample of what we've seen on Chime In. These clouds may look like a curtain, but there's a name for them. They're called virga, those streaks in the middle of precipitation that you're seeing there that evaporates before even reaching the ground. And from our nation's capital, this brilliant sunset behind the Washington Monument. And just about 40 miles northwest of there, a sunset here over Charm City's downtown stadium district. This is Oriole Park at Camden Yards, just off to the left. And we would love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us all over your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search at NatWX Desk or National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Have you ever heard of a snow squall? Well, tomorrow we're going to show you what it is. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Thanks for joining us here this morning, making a great Wednesday. And remember, keep an eye on the sky.